Now let's take a look and plan how to draw each of these drawings. I'm going to look and see what the major target points will be and how I might look at those and how I'll set this up. And then I'm also going to talk and think about how I might name each of my blocks so they'll make sense when I use them and when I export that data. Okay, so let's take a look again. So what I see, there's a bunch of different blocks, which in this case, it tells me how to draw them. These are all the dimensions on how to draw them. I'll do those quickly for you in a different video. But once you have each one, you want to sort of think about how you're going to put them in there. So this one, there are no dimensions for me to use. So I have to kind of figure it out. And I see that this capacitor is about 2 inches from here to some connector point about here. So that's about 2. So the distance between this point and this point is about 2.5. And just to be simple, these probably aren't laid out all exactly the same. I'm going to make them the same. 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. And I'm going to make a little grid to lay these out on. Now I realize that these won't lie right on it and this won't lie right on it. There are some things that won't be exact, but I'll be pretty close. It'll give me something to work off of so that I can position most of these things. And then I see that these are sort of in line. These are not at all in line, but I might make them in line if I stretch it out enough so that it's not too bad. I do see that this, and these connector jacks are all sort of in line with each other. So maybe I'll set things up along those 3 lines. So I have some things that I'll do. Okay, and I'll do that with a construction line. And then I'm going to use the donut command to make these little dots where things connect. Okay, and I'm going to draw these little half circles as a complete circle. And then I'll erase, trim the part I don't want. So that's mostly it. That's how I'm going to lay this one out and work with it. Now let's take a look. This one goes in like this one. When I put the block in, I can either put it in and type in 180 degrees or a scale factor of -1. But I think the easiest is to put it in and then mirror it. So I'm just going to put a bunch of these in, and then I'll mirror and rotate to make it work for me. Okay. And I'll do the same thing with these connector jacks. I'll put these 2 in, and then I'll probably mirror them and put them in over here. So that's my process of what I'll do for that one. Okay. For my interior design, I'm going to go ahead. And sort of just with my construction lines, block in some of these important dimensions. So I see a dimension there, 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 there. Those will just all be offsets off of my main dimension. So I'm going to start at the top. I've decided to start at the top, right along here. And then I'm going to offset and offset and offset and offset and offset and make myself sort of a grid out of construction lines. And then I'll use object line to go ahead and trace those in. Those will give me my targets so that I can start putting in this top one. And that allows me to know I'm going to use top left corner, top left corner, top left corner, top left corner. I'll use the top left corner all the way along these. Okay, my bottom ones, I'll probably use my bottom left corner bottom left corner, bottom left corner, bottom left corner, so on and so forth as I go around. These ones look like maybe they should be top left corner as I go, but you can look at that and see how you want to put them in. Okay, so that's how I'm going to go ahead and do those. And as I said, I'm going to make a basic cabinet, my smallest one, and then I'm going to do the stretch command. If I were to pull this edge sideways 3 inches and pull this one 3 inches, I'd change my 24 to 30. So it's a little harder. I have to figure out what half of 5 3/4 is. Okay, and that's probably 2 7/8. So once I have this one, then I can pull its corner. It's called stretch. Its edge, 2 7/8, 2 7/8, and then I'll get this one, and so on and so forth. It's the stretch command that I'm going to use. Okay, so there we go. Sorry, I was on the wrong one there. That's my preview, how I'm going to use those. And now I'm looking at how I'm going to plan each drawing, and I'm starting to figure out how I'm going to draw each block. Okay, so let's take a look at that. That was my overall drawing. Now let's take a look at the blocks. Well, these ones, it tells you exactly how to draw them. And I think I'll use the left connector corner where I can, and I'll use the top connector corner where I can. So on the electrical, I'm just going to follow these layouts. On these ones, it's just going to be a rectangle. I'll start with one rectangle and I'll make that a block. And then I'll mirror that rectangle to make this one, and that'll make those 2 blocks. And then it'll make this block. And this one I'll stretch 1.5 sideways and 1.5 sideways. This is 3 inches bigger than this one. Okay, and I'll demonstrate these to you. It's just good to have a thought process ahead of time. Now, my thought process doesn't have to be yours. You can use a different methodology if you'd like. Okay, so these ones I'm going to just draw rectangles and use the stretch command. Rectangles, I'm going to cut this one in half. I'm going to do, this is probably, I don't know, it looks like it's a little less than the 36, so I'll make this one 30. Some of these I'm just going to sort of estimate and figure out. But these ones, I'm just going to draw a rectangle of the right height right here. I'm going to make it look with like an inside panel with a little handle. Then I'll mirror it to make this one. Then I'll stretch it to make this one. And so on and so forth. Okay, now let's take a look at the naming convention. These ones, I can just use the names that are given. Okay, so this on the electrical, it gave me names. I'm just going to use them. This one I have to think about it. So this is a top cabinet. This is a bottom cabinet. Top cabinet, bottom cabinet. So I think I'll call this one top cabinet. And then I'm going to say the width by the height. So this would be top cabinet. Oh, and then I have to tell it how many how many doors. Top cabinet, double, 27 by 42. I think that's how I'll do it. Maybe I'll call it TC instead of top cabinet, but I'll do something like that that sort of makes sense. Bottom cabinet, 4 drawer, 24 1/16 by 30. Oh, it doesn't give me. I'm going to have to figure out about how high that is. That one's probably 30. This one's 36. That'll be about 30. Okay, this is a bottom cabinet, 4D for 4 drawers, 24 wide by 36 tall. So you see how I'm going to make up names that help it get figured out. Okay, so there we go. That is plan how to draw the useful blocks and select names.